Okay, so what if the highest form of seeing the world wasn't about finding one single simple truth? Today, we're going to dive into this really fascinating idea from Buddhist thought that says true wisdom, well, it comes from being able to hold two completely contradictory realities in your mind at the exact same time. And right there, that's the central puzzle we're going to unpack. I mean, think about it. How can the path to seeing that we're all fundamentally the same first require you to see with perfect clarity every single thing that makes us different? It sounds like it just can't work, right? But stick with me. Let's see how this whole thing fits together. Well, there's a specific term for this state of mind. It's called butsugen, and it literally translates to the Buddha's eye. And the key here is that it's not about picking one view over the other. No, it's about developing a kind of vision that's powerful enough to hold both as true at the same time. This is really the heart of what we're talking about today. Okay, so how do you even develop a vision like that? Well, what's so interesting is that as someone goes deeper into their spiritual training, their view of the world doesn't get simpler. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. It actually splits into these two different but totally connected ways of seeing. All right, let's break down the first pillar. This one's called sabetsukan, which basically means the sense of difference. And this is where it gets really interesting. Because this idea, it pretty much flips on its head what a lot of us probably think enlightenment is supposed to be all about.
See, the idea here isn't that you start looking at everyone and just seeing them as all one, ignoring all the things that make them unique. Nope, it is the absolute opposite. Your vision gets so sharp, so focused, that the huge, undeniable, and sometimes painful, differences between people become crystal clear.
And we're not just talking about surface-level stuff here. This is about a really deep understanding of the whole spectrum of what it means to be alive. We're talking about innate abilities, where someone is on their own life's path, their natural disposition, and the really specific, unique struggles they have to face. You see it all.
But here's where that paradox really kicks in. Because while this incredibly sharp sense of difference is developing, something else is growing right there alongside it, with just as much strength. And that brings us to the second pillar, the truth of equality.
This one is called byodokan, or the sense of equality. And what this is this deep, powerful realization that even with all those huge differences we just talked about, every single being has the same fundamental value, the exact same intrinsic worth. And what's so amazing is just how far this sense of equality goes. It's not just about people. You start to see that all humans have this shining life inside them. But you also see animals, even plants, as living their own lives, going through their own form of training, their own journey. And you get that they all share that same intrinsic worth. So, okay, we've got these two super powerful and seemingly opposite ways of seeing things developing at the same time. One, a sharp eye for difference, and two, a deep sense of equality. The final step, it isn't about picking one. It's about forging them together into one single unified vision. And that integrated view, it's not a step-by-step thing. It's not like you see one, then the other. It's simultaneous. It means you learn to see the uniqueness, the individuality, and the struggle of every single being. And in that very same breath, you see their shared light and their equal value. And this is really the crucial point. Think about it. A mind that only sees difference can become judgmental, right? But a mind that only sees equality can become blind to real individual suffering. So true wisdom, this Buddha's eye, it's the integration of both. It's about finally seeing the whole picture. So what does the world actually feel like when you see it this way? There's a quote from our source that I think just nails it perfectly. The world appears both very sad and at the same time very warm. It's this bittersweet but incredibly compassionate way of seeing everything. The sadness that comes from seeing with total clarity all the unique struggles, all the hardships, all the pain that every living thing goes through. But the warmth, that comes from seeing at the exact same time their inherent worth, their resilience, and that shining life, that little spark of hope inside every single one of them. So what's the big takeaway here? I mean, how can we take this concept, which sounds kinda lofty and spiritual, and actually apply it to how we see the world? Really, it all boils down to this. True wisdom isn't about finding easy answers or pretending complexity doesn't exist. It's about making your mind big enough to hold contradiction. It's about being able to acknowledge that two things that seem to oppose each other can both be true, and that seeing both gets you way closer to the truth than just seeing one. And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. How might our world look? What would change in our day-to-day lives, in our communities, if we all tried to see with both eyes?
to really honor the unique differences in every single person while never, ever losing sight of that fundamental equality that connects us all. It's a big thought. Anyway, thanks for digging into this with me.